Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with here today with an article from the New York Post. This is dated January 16th, and I haven't read this yet, but it's from Douglas Murray, and it's talking about the situation over in the Middle East, so it's probably going to be worth the read, so we're going to go through this together. And the article is called "A Real Ceasefire Deal Must Ensure the Destruction of Hamas." Because, as you're probably aware, if you're listening to this, the ceasefire deal came out, I think, the day before this, and he wrote, what did he write this, at night, so it actually might have been even that morning on January 16th, but anyway, it's really quick. He wrote this like right on top of the deal coming out, and the deal doesn't really ensure the destruction of Hamas, which means that these October 7th attacks are just going to happen again, and we're going to go through this all over again. So let's see what he says. He says, "Bring them home" has been the slogan of the hostage families in Israel since October 7th of 2023. But when Hamas murdered 1,200 people, including 46 Americans, and when it took 254 people hostage, including 12 Americans, there should have been a different slogan: "Give them back now." And you have Joe Biden there just saying, like, what's his word of deterrent was just "don't." Yeah, that's going to stop them. So since that day, so many opportunities have been missed. On October 8th, Joe Biden could have called up the governments in Qatar, Iran, and other rogue states and told them to get their friends in Hamas to hand over the hostages now. It says, or else. Yep, and he has the power to do that as the American president. Definitely could have done that, but he didn't. So with the leverage the U.S. has in the Middle East, a hardball approach against the Qataris, Iranians, and Turks could have solved this mess 15 months ago. Instead, it has taken the pressure of the incoming Trump administration to get a deal agreed to. Because, yes, as I'm recording this, Trump has not been sworn back into office yet. We're a few days away from that. But you can already see the Trump effect. It says it is still a bittersweet moment. On the one hand, everyone except Hamas and its goons in the West must feel their hearts lift at the idea of the remaining hostages being released. These are men, women, and babies who did nothing wrong but have spent 15 months in the hell of Hamas captivity. On the other hand, the deal includes the release of Palestinian prisoners, including murderers. In the first round of releases, 9 ill and wounded hostages will be exchanged for 110 Palestinian prisoners who are serving life sentences. Yeah, so just think about that. I was just about to make a comment saying, like, that doesn't really seem quite fair. Okay, so it says, an Israeli baby could be released in exchange for 12 grown murderers. This is very difficult for the Israeli public to stomach, not least because the last time a similar deal was done, Israel released Yahya Sinwar, who went on to mastermind October 7th, and thankfully he is no longer with us anymore. So Biden has tried to make matters worse by claiming this deal is exactly the same as the one he had put into place last May. What he misses is the work that the IDF has managed to do in the last 8 months. That includes the decimation of Hamas in Gaza. Had there been a ceasefire and exchange of hostages last May, the IDF would not have been able to proceed through Gaza, catch and kill Sinwar, and reduce Hamas to the core group it currently is. These months were not wasted. But the real test for the Trump team is what comes in round 2 of the deal. It apparently amazes some people that Hamas is not a reliable negotiating partner. Yes, because, terrorists are always, they're reliable. You can count on them. So while the terror group may abide by this first round of the deal, the idea that it will stick with the next round seems remote. And what was the next round I think I saw was, I can't remember. I saw it, but I'm just not remembering right now. Maybe the article mentioned it. It says, in a sick and twisted way, the leaders of Hamas know that having even the bodies of Israeli and American hostages is one of the only ways they can stay alive. What Israel has agreed to is only a cessation of hostilities, not the end of the war, correct? And that's what people are celebrating, like a ceasefire, and it's like they only said that they were going to stop trying to shoot you after, you started a war, but they didn't say that the war was over. So it says, as I have said before, Douglas Murray, not me, Jason, says there's no point in putting out 90% of a fire. You have to put out the whole thing, so it is with Hamas. You have to destroy the whole thing and make sure it can never take control of Gaza. Like the Nazis, Hamas and its ideology need to be destroyed utterly. Yes, these guys are the modern-day Nazis. Okay, Hamas, that is. They have a darker colored skin, a darker pigmentation, darker melanin count, if you will, to their skin, but they basically believe they have the exact same ideology as the Nazis. It needs to lose and know it's lost. To that end, the Israelis are rightly going to continue their presence at the Philadelphia corridor, the strip of land where Egypt borders Gaza. If the IDF did not stay there, then from day one the terrorist group and its allies across the region will start rearming Gaza with the Egyptian tunnels, or via the Egyptian tunnels, which, we can kind of see that Egypt was kind of covertly helping them out, so Egypt probably does need to answer for that a little bit. says the test is how the incoming Trump administration can reassure the Israelis that despite the hideous parts of this deal, America will have their back in the next stages. Yes, because Team Biden just basically turned their backs on Israel. A-holes. Says there are several things Team Trump can do. One is to stop the holdup of certain weapons and weapon components that the Biden administration halted and altered in order to pressure the Israelis to a deal. But the second and more important one is for the Trump administration to do what the Biden administration failed to, which is to put pressure not on America's closest ally in the region, but on America's foes. Yes, that's something the Biden administration was very bad at doing. It says, first among these is the revolutionary government in Iran. The single biggest aim of American policy in the region must be to prevent the Ayatollahs from ever gaining nuclear weapons. Tehran is still pushing, but Trump reassuring the Israelis that if they have to act to prevent Iran going nuclear, then they will have American backing. Would help sweeten the deal. Yes, that 100% should be a thing, because we're at risk too if that happens. The second part is harder, which is to deal with the governments of Turkey and, more importantly, Qatar. Trump's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, this week told Fox News that God's work was being done around the negotiating table in Doha, which is in Qatar. Says according to him, this work was being done by, among others, the Prime Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim bin Jabir Al Thani. That's a mouthful. With all due respect to Witkoff and his delicate task, that is flat out wrong. If someone funds the people who have attacked your citizens and taken them hostage, and then, 15 months later, help to release some of them, that is not God's work. It is the work of the devil. At the very least, it is the work of a snake. Qatar's funding and hosting of Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood is something that in the years to come will look as terrible as Saudi Arabia's involvement in the ideology that spawned 9/11. As will the way in which Qatar has been allowed not just to fund America's enemies, but to subvert American institutions, not least American universities, through their money spigots. Yeah, we got to do something about this. I don't know what can be done. Not a financial person at all, but we need to cut that spigot off, immediately. Because unfortunately, Iran, Qatar, and Turkey have spent years outmaneuvering America and the West. If this deal is going to hold, it will need all of America's might to lean on the powers in the region that backed Hamas and undermined Israel. Trump's policy of peace through strength will stand or fail on that junction, and we must hope it holds. So Douglas Murray, once again, with absolute words of wisdom, the very smart man, and he knows what he's talking about here. Hamas must be eradicated entirely, and we need to stand by our ally here and let them do it. Otherwise, October 7th is going to be just one of, unfortunately, more similar days. Anyway, do you agree with that or not? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.